Imagine that you have just ordered a product online. Maybe it's a phone, a laptop, a pair of shoes, or even a piece of furniture. You click buy now, a few days later the product arrives at your home. But have you even wondered what happened before the product reached you? Behind one simple online purchase is a much bigger journey. Our story began at port of Shanghai, where thousands of containers are waiting to travel across the Pacific Ocean. One of these containers represents millions of products moving through the global supply chain every day. The container is loaded onto a large vessel. Its destination, Los Angeles. But there is one problem. The journey that connects business, city, and consumer also create an environmental cost. Maritime transport is an important part of global trade and tourism, but the shipping sector also contributes significantly to greenhouse gas emission, create problems such as air pollution, noise pollution, vessel discharge, port congestion, and also marine ecosystem degradation. According to ACWAN 2025, maritime shipping accounts for approximately 2.8% of global greenhouse gas emission, and this could increase substantially in the future if action is not taken. So, we have a question. Can this container travel from Shanghai to Los Angeles without creating the same environmental damage? The question takes us to the main idea of today's videos, green shipping corridors.
So now we will discuss and critically analyze the article by Mina Akawan, published in Ocean and Society in 2025. So the title of the article is Decarbonizing Maritime Transport, the Role of Green Shipping Corridors in Making Sustainable Port City Ecosystem. We selected this article because maritime transport is essential to international trade, but at the same time, the industry faces increasing pressure to reduce its environmental impact. More importantly, the article does not look only at ships. It connects ships, ports, cities, energy, technology, governments, businesses, and also local communities. Our video will follow the journey of one container from Shanghai to Los Angeles to explain the article and evaluate its arguments.
Let's return to our container. It has arrived at the port of Shanghai. The container itself does not create emissions, but everything around it does. The ship requires fuel. Cargo handling equipment requires energy. Trucks move containers in and out of the port. Warehouses consume electricity, and the surrounding port city experiences the environmental effects of these activities. Akawan explains that maritime transport is the backbone of international trade and the global supply chain. However, the industry faces environmental challenges such as greenhouse gas emissions, air pollution, noise pollution, vessel discharges, port congestion, and degradation of marine ecosystems. This creates a difficult situation. We need maritime transport for international trade, but we cannot continue increasing the environmental damage indefinitely. Therefore, the question is not should we stop shipping? The real question is, how can we make shipping cleaner and more sustainable?
The normal shipping route changes into a glowing green route between Shanghai and Los Angeles.
This is where the concept of the Green Shipping Corridor, or GSC, enters our story. A green shipping corridor is essentially shipping routes where zero-emission technology and emission reduction programs are supported through cooperation between public and private stakeholders. In simple words, a normal shipping route connects two ports. A green shipping corridor connects two ports while creating a coordination pathway towards zero-emission shipping. Akwan explained that a fully developed green corridor has several layers. First, ports that act as important nodes on land. Second, the shipping corridor. This is the connection between port and sea. Third, technology and energy. This includes alternative fuels, renewable energy, electrification, and other technologies. But there is something even more important. This layer cannot work separately. They require cooperation. Governments, ports, shipping companies, cargo owners, energy provider, technology companies, researchers, and communities all have a role. So our container is no longer simply traveling from Shanghai to Los Angeles. It is traveling through an entire ecosystem of cooperation.
This is the logo and name for Port of Shanghai. And this is logo and name for Port of Los Angeles.
And this is not simply a theoretical idea. Akavan highlight that Los Angeles to Shanghai Green Shipping Corridors as an example. The initiative was announced in January 2022. It connects two major ports and involves cities, ports, maritime industry, shipping companies, and cargo owners. The objective is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from both shipping and port activities. This corridor using a get-to-get approach. That means we do not look only at the ship while it is sailing. We look at the entire journey from the port operations to vessel transit and back to the port operations. The carrier partners focus on improving technical and operational efficiency. The port partners invest in clean marine fueling, infrastructure, and shore-based power. Cargo owners can support the transition by choosing shipping service that using the zero carbon technology. And all partners share responsibility for shipping emission reduction targets and monitoring progress. This is important because decarbonization cannot be achieved by shipping companies alone.
Now let's look deeper into Akawame's argument. The article suggests that green shipping corridor can contribute to more sustainable port city ecosystem. Traditionally, sustainability is often explained through three pillars: environmental, economy, social. However, Akwan proposed adding a fourth pillar: institutional. Why? Because government and stakeholders are essential for making green shipping corridor works. Let's return to our container. Environmental dimension. The corridor can support cleaner fuel, renewable energy, and electrification. This can help reduce greenhouse gas emission and pollution. Economy dimension. Green shipping corridor can encourage innovation, create new economic opportunity, and strengthen the competitiveness of the port. Social dimension. Cleaner port operation can potentially improve health and well-being in communities located around ports. Institutional dimension. Government, companies, researchers, and community need to cooperate. Without policy, investment, and coordination, green technology may remain too expensive or difficult to implement. Therefore, the green corridor is not simply green line drawn on map. It is system of people, infrastructure, technology, and policy working together.
Our agreement with the article. Our answer is
We agree!
Now we move from summarizing the article to our critical analysis. The first argument we agree with is that green shipping corridor requires strong stakeholder cooperation. We support this argument because maritime transport involves many different parties. A shipping company cannot establish a green corridor by itself. Imagine our container again. The shipping company may purchase a cleaner vessel. But what happens when the vessel reaches the port? If there are no alternative fuel infrastructure, no shore power, and no supporting energy system, the vessel cannot be fully benefit from the green transition. Similarly, cargo owner may want cleaner shipping service, but if the cost is too high, adoption may remain limited. Therefore, cooperation between governments, port, shipping companies, cargo owner, energy provider, and technology companies is essential. Article 1 discussion of the Los Angeles Shanghai corridor demonstrate exactly this type of cross-value chain cooperation.
Our second point of agreement is the article emphasizes on alternative fuels, renewable energy and electrification. A green shipping corridor needs clearer energy sources. The article discusses alternatives like hydrogen, ammonia, biofuels, and electric or hybrid systems. This technology could help reduce emissions from maritime transport. The article also highlights renewable energy in ports. For example, ports can use renewable energy to support their operation and reduce dependence on fossil fuels. However, the transition requires major investment. The article acknowledged that the initial cost of green technology can be high. Therefore, we agree with Akawan that economic incentive and supportive policy are necessary. If government want companies to adopt green technologies, they need to create conditions to make the transition financially realistic.
But now we need to ask a more difficult question. Is creating green shipping corridor automatically good for everyone? Our answer is not necessarily. This leads to our disagreement. Our first concern is the high cost of implementation. The article recognizes that green technologies and infrastructure require significant investment. But from our perspective, this challenge deserves even greater attention. Imagine that our container is ready to leave Shanghai. The port needs new infrastructure, the ship needs new technology, alternative fuel needs to be produced and supplied. The logistics system may need to be redesigned. All of these changes cost money. So we ask, who pays? The government, the shipping company, the port, the cargo owner, or ultimately the consumer? If green shipping becomes significantly more expensive, companies may be reluctant to participate. Therefore, we believe green shipping corridor need not only environmental target but also a clear financial framework. Governments and industry need to share investment risk and create incentives that encourage participation.
Our second concern is the impact on local communities. This is actually an issue that Akawan herself identifies as an important research gap. Green shipping corridors may reduce emissions, but building new infrastructure may also require land. Ports may need new fuel storage facilities. Energy infrastructure may require additional space. Transport connection may need to be redesigned. This can create conflicts over land use. Therefore, a project can be environmentally positive at the global level while still creating challenges locally. For example, a port may become greener, but what happens to the community living next to it? Will residents benefit from cleaner air? Will they gain employment opportunities? Will they have a voice in decision making? Or will the cost and disruption be concentrated in the local community? For this reason, we believe community participation should not be treated as an afterthought. It should be part of the planning process from the beginning.
So, what should we do?
Based on the article and our critical analysis, we propose 4 recommendations. The first recommendation is build stronger public-private partnerships. Governments, ports, shipping companies, cargo owners, energy providers, and technology companies should work together. A green corridor should have clearly defined responsibilities, emission targets, and performance indicators. This will reduce the risk of one stakeholder investing while another fails to participate. The second recommendation is introduce financial incentives. Green technologies can have high initial costs. Therefore, governments should consider financial mechanisms such as incentives, grants, or other supportive policies to encourage investment. The objective is to make green shipping economically viable rather than simply environmentally desirable.
The third recommendation, put local communities into the decision-making process. Before developing new green infrastructure, port authorities and government should assess the effect on surrounding communities. Public consultation should be included in the planning process. Therefore, the success of a green corridor should be measured not only by a carbon reduction but also by social outcomes. The last recommendation is develop a get-to-get measurement system. Finally, we recommended measuring emission across the whole logistic journey. Instead of measuring only the ship's emission at sea, measurements should cover port operation, to vessel movement to the final port operation and the hinterland transport. This would provide a clear picture of the actual environmental performance of the corridor.
So what happened next? The article described green shipping corridor as part of a broader transition toward zero emission shipping. The transition can be viewed as three stages. First stage, emergence. New technology are tested through pilot projects. Second stage, diffusion. Technology become more wider deployed and economy of scale improve. Third stage, reconfiguration. Zero emission fuel and technology become increasing integrate into shipping sector. But there are still major uncertainties. The article identified areas that require future research. These include how can government cooperate across border? How can stakeholders work together effectively? How can technology development be accelerated? How can local community participate? And what will be the actual social economy and environmental impact of green shipping corridors?
Based on this gap, we propose several future research directions. The first one is research on the impact of green shipping corridors on local communities. Do residents actually experience better health and quality of life? The second, research on land use conflict. How much land will green ports and alternative fuel infrastructure require? The third, research on economic impacts. Will green shipping corridors increase or reduce the competitiveness of ports? The fourth, research on stakeholder governance. What governance model can effectively balance government, industry, and community interests? These research areas are important because green shipping corridors are still a relatively new concept, as Akawan highlights. More empirical research and transparent data are required to understand their actual impacts.
Now, let's return to our story begin. The container have traveled across the Pacific Ocean, but this time the journey is different. The vessel use cleaner technology, the port provide cleaner energy, cargo owners support zero carbon shipping, government policy encourage investment, and local community are involved in the planning. The container has not simply traveled from one port to another port, it has traveled through a green shipping corridor, but our story does not end here because a green shipping corridor is not simply about making ship greener, it is about changing the relationship between ship, port, city, energy, business, government, and also people.
Our analysis of Akavan articles shows that green shipping corridors have significant potential to support the decarbonization of maritime transport. We agree with the article that collaboration, alternative fuels, renewable energy, electrification, and supportive policies are important for the transition. However, we also believe that the financial burden and local community impacts require greater attention. A green corridor should not simply reduce carbon emissions, but it also should create a fair and sustainable relationship between the port and the city.
Ultimately, the success of green shipping corridors should be measured through four dimensions: environmental sustainability, economic development, social well-being, and strong institutions and stakeholder cooperations.
The future of maritime transport will not be decided by ship alone. It will be decided by the entire ecosystem surrounding them.
So the next time you receive a package at your doorstep, remember that its journey may have started thousands of kilometers away, and perhaps in the future that journey will travel through a green shipping corridor.
Because the future of shipping is not simply about moving cargo faster, it is about moving cargo more sustainably.
Green route today, sustainable port cities tomorrow.